Good evening and welcome to the Monday, March 22nd Mayor and Council meeting. And the first item on our agenda, of course, is the Pledge of Allegiance. And who hasn't led us in the pledge in a while? Come on, raise your hands. Raise your hands. Let's all lead us in the pledge together. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. The next item on the agenda is the consent agenda. Do I have a motion to approve the consent agenda? Councilmember Tizer.
Motion to approve the consent agenda.
Motion to approve by Councilmember Tizer. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Councilmember Wilsey. All those in favor, please raise your hands. And it passes unanimously. Thank you. Next up, we've got a report from Fulton County Schools. And I would like to introduce Mr. Mike Looney. And I believe also Mrs. Katha Stewart is on the phone as well. So who would go first, Mr. Looney or Ms. Stewart?
I will be going first.
Great.
Thank you so much, Mayor Henry and council members, for having us join you tonight in these crazy times that we've been facing for the last year. It's been very difficult for us to share on a regular basis what's going on in the school system. So we just wanted to have an opportunity to do that. So we really appreciate your allowing us to join you. But before I introduce Dr. Looney, I just wanted to say thank you to the community of Roswell. I've been so impressed in the last year with how this community has wrapped its arms around especially our at-risk kids. Of course, many of our schools have done drives for the needs that our kids have, but then there've been a lot of community-based efforts such as Table and Aid, the school meal program, Hope Roswell, of course, North Fulton Community Charities, Star House, and so many others. So it's just been really enlightening to me to see just how generous our community is. So I just wanted to thank the community and all of you all who've been involved in that as well. But to give you a little bit of an update on what's going on in the school system and what we're seeing as far as what we're looking toward for the summertime and to try to make up for some of the learning loss and where we are with the pandemic. I'm going to turn it over to Dr. Mike Looney. He's been our superintendent since June of 2019, so not quite 2 years, but I'm sure it probably seems like a lot more than that to him, given that over half of the time that he's been with us so far, he's been facing this pandemic. So Dr. Looney, I will turn it over to you.
Thank you so much, Board Member Katha Stewart, and thank you, council members and mayor. It's an honor to spend a little bit of time with you today. What Ms. Stewart will not share with you is she was up early today and giving vaccinations at Mercedes-Benz Stadium. And I appreciate her work and leadership. We're giving vaccinations this week, as you very well know, to our employees, almost 14,000 employees. And we have a good number of them that are getting vaccinations with Fulton County Schools, and also a good number of them who have decided to get vaccinations on their own. And so we appreciate all of those people that have helped us and preparing for the vaccination process. And I want to make sure that we acknowledge the dedication and devotion and support of the city council and mayor from Roswell. We could not have been doing this work without you. So thank you and kudos to you for your hard work. I'd like to just briefly share my screen with you and see if I can pull up my PowerPoint presentation. One thing about it is we're very comfortable. I am very comfortable with Teams and not so much with this tool, Zoom. So hang on one second. I apologize. I had it up just a second ago and it's disappeared on me.
I'm worried about that bus behind him.
Yeah, that's hang on one second here. I think this is going to get me. There we go. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, I'm assuming you can see my screen now.
Yes, sir.
Awesome. Thank you so much. So as I indicated, we have started the vaccination process of our employees. We're at Mercedes-Benz Stadium all this week. And then April 12th through the 14th, we will be finishing the vaccination process for those employees who have opted to get vaccinations with us. We're giving the Pfizer vaccine. And as you probably very well know, we have had to pivot to remote learning for our students across the district in stages to make sure that our employees have access to the vaccination during the regular workday. And so that has gone exceedingly well. I think we've vaccinated 650 some odd employees today. And we'll finish round one this week for all the employees that are eligible and willing to get vaccinations from Fulton County Schools. And then we'll finalize that on the first 3 days post spring break. I do think that once the vaccination process has been complete, we're going to experience kind of a game-changing move in Fulton County Schools. Absent employees being quarantined and us not having the ability to backfill with a sufficient number of substitute teachers, there really is no reason for us to have to pivot, at least in any kind of substantial way, to remote learning thereafter. And so we'll continue to quarantine students in accordance with the Fulton County Board of Health standards when there are cases in schools, but I don't anticipate us having to pivot to remote learning. And of course, that means very positive things for students and families. That means in-person graduations, some of the traditional ceremonies that we have, and then it allows us to plan for the summer and the fall. A lot of people have been asking us what our plans are for the fall. And so I want to be very clear. We fully intend to provide face-to-face instruction for our students and families in the fall. We don't believe that the current selection process where you can choose to be remote or come face-to-face is a sustainable model for our teachers and our families. We've done a significant amount of research and analyzation of data. And the fact is that our students have been learning with remote learning processes, but they haven't been learning at the same rate that they otherwise would be learning if they were in the face-to-face instructional model. And so we're committed to doing that. With that being said, the board has authorized us to stand up our first full virtual school, and we will open that school in the fall called FAVE. We have about 1,300 students that are expressed interest, and about 1,000 of them are currently enrolled and are in process of transferring to our first ever virtual school in Fulton County. So we've had a number of information sessions leading up to the COVID vaccination, and I can't say enough about the board and their leadership in making sure that we were prepared to vaccinate all of our employees in Fulton County Schools. So once again, thanks to the board. And obviously, with the state legislature in session and the budget process in full swing, both at the state and the local level, you ladies and gentlemen will appreciate this. We are in the midst of a budgeting process. And so there are some things that we know and some things that we still don't know. And so what you can see on this slide is the budget that the governor has proposed, that we do believe that is going to be finalized here in the days to come. And so we are going to experience an increase in revenue from the teacher retirement system, from the state retirement system, and allocation of funds for training and experience for teachers. However, we will see about a 20.1 million reduction in revenue as a result of our reduction in student enrollment, unless there's an intervening variable where school districts are held harmless. We lost about 3,000, a little bit more than 3,000 students this year that we're currently in, and so that will have some sort of domino effect in the budget ahead. And then finally, one of the conundrums that we face, because our property values in Fulton County are very well situated relative to neighboring counties. Our property taxes, we send more money to the state than we receive back in return as a result of our local fair share. And so we're going to see approximately a $20 million, 19.9 reduction in revenue coming from the state as a result of our fair share increasing. And so the state sends us less money of our own money back because they distribute it to our lower economically situated school districts and communities. And then we have to make that revenue up here locally to the best of our ability. And then finally, I'm really pleased that the governor has supported continuation of the charter system grants that allows our schools and our district to enjoy some of the flexibilities that we've earned as a result of our high performance in Fulton County Schools. So that's really good news. But on the whole, we're going to continue to lose revenues from the state, and we're going to have to make those up in some other way. I will say that we have been informed that we're going to be receiving a significant amount of one-time money as a result of the federal government's Relief Act. And so we are in the process of developing budgets independent of our state budget and local budget, obviously, because those are one-time monies, and those come with significant limitations and regulations as it relates to how we spend those. We'll be bringing presentations to the board and to the public about how we will be proposing to spend that money here in the next couple of weeks. And then finally, as you know, our schools are in generally good shape as a result of our local taxpayers supporting SPLOST referendums over the years. The current SPLOST is coming to an end, and we are in the process of prioritizing next projects. We have done a complete analysis of our facilities across the district, and we're in the process of prioritizing various projects. But we do expect that there will be a SPLOST referendum in Fulton County Schools and with some of our neighboring districts this fall in November. But I wanted to share with you a little bit of what we've done with the SPLOST money and as it relates to COVID specifically. So SPLOST has allowed us to obviously, with the board's direction and leadership, invest heavily in technology to make sure that we have the ability to provide our students with technology tools to continue their learning process. And so we have increased the internet bandwidth across our school district by 100% in the last 12 months, primarily as a result of COVID, so that every student and every teacher had the ability to get online within the infrastructure and bandwidth in Fulton County Schools to do their work in a remote setting. We in Fulton County Schools use Teams as our communication and collaboration tool, primarily because of the safety surrounding it and security surrounding it. 433% increase in the usage of Teams. And then what strikes me most as the instructional leader in Fulton County Schools, as we have had a 3,000% increase in the digital tools that we use for teaching and learning. What we do know is our teachers, parents, and students have all leaned into digital learning to the fullest extent possible. We've gotten better, we've learned so much, but I do want to just reinforce one more time that there is no adequate replacement for traditional face-to-face instruction, teacher and students in the classroom. We believe in that. The research bears it out, and so we're looking forward to that returning. I also just want to highlight some of the projects that we've been able to do as a result of SPLOST and the support of our municipal leaders, such as yourselves. And so I'm not going to read this list to you, but you can see there are a significant number of projects in the north and south sections of our county that have benefited as a result of SPLOST dollars. I'll give you just a moment to look at that. And then I know, move to this next slide. Here we go. I know that you must be really excited about the Crabapple Middle School Replacement Project. It is nearing its end. It is a beautiful facility, and we're looking forward to that coming online. I will say that there's some rezoning that is going to happen as a result of the opening of Crabapple Middle School, and we will be engaging in that conversation and collaboration with the broader community this fall. But we're really looking forward to that. The Innovation Academy in Alpharetta and the Global Impact Academy in the southern section of the county also are game changers. They're state-of-the-art facilities designed to focus on teaching students science and technology, engineering and mathematics, programming skills, so that they're able to walk away from high school ready for either college, the world of work, or joining the military. We're excited about those innovative practices that the board has planned for and now are coming to fruition. And here are some additional projects that are on the schedule for us to complete and hopefully have those done by this fall. You see Sweet Apple Elementary School has a HVAC project being completed, several projects from across the district spanning the entire district. So this is how we have been held accountable and invested in the taxpayers' generous support of the SPOS referendum in the past. And as a result of that, we have some of the best state-of-the-art facilities across the country. I don't know, ladies and gentlemen, if you've been paying attention, but our school board for the last year has been engaged in lots of conversations about how do we become the next best version of ourselves. And so we know that, for decades, we've been having elementary schools, middle schools, and then high schools. And you understand those separations of students. We also have been reviewing the research, making sure that when we do renovation projects and when we do build additional schools, that we're making decisions based on what the latest research tells us are the most effective practices for boys and girls. And that has been a really interesting process because as things happen in life, sometimes you walk away from something that's working, you leave it for a decade or two, and then you realize it was better off before. And so that's exactly what happened a couple of decades ago when we walked away from K-8 schools in favor of middle schools and walking away from 7-8 schools because they weren't working. And so the board has been engaged in discussions about how do we make good decisions based on research about how to best serve students in K-8 moving forward. Should we continue the elementary school model and the middle school model, or should we be reflecting on what the research has said over the last couple of decades? And what we've learned, quite frankly, is that the old K-8 model has a lot of benefits for boys and girls and the broader community. It is proven to help with student academic achievement results. It's proven to help with social emotional issues, reduces behavior issues in schools, creates a more community sense, and creates enhanced parent engagement. So the board has authorized me to begin looking at opportunities to not convert all of our schools in the district to K-8 models, but to look for opportunities where we can add a K-8 school to our portfolio of schools. And so we're looking at areas across the district at where those K-8 schools might make good sense. And we're starting those conversations in these types of meetings, and we'll be expanding them more broadly to community conversations in the months and years ahead. Really excited about this. As a school superintendent, I have implemented several K-8 models in my 18 years as a superintendent, and it's amazing to see how much community it creates, how cool it is for 7th and 8th graders to still go to school and have a relationship with a teacher that they had in kindergarten, or the PE teacher, or the principal, or the lunchroom person. It just builds continuity, and I think that's something probably that Roswell understands very well. The Roswell community does community very well. And so there have been a number of extensive national studies on the benefits of K-8, Baltimore, Philadelphia, Milwaukee. Just most recently, Harvard has published a study about the academic and social emotional benefits of K-8s. And so we're excited about the possibility of adding K-8s to our portfolio of schools. We don't have any additional specific schools in mind at this point in time beyond the ones that we've been talking about already. We've been talking about 2 potentials in the southern section of our county, Conley Hills Elementary School and Hateville. But we're always looking to have conversations about how we might expand. And then where might K-8s work very well, where parents are interested in increased engagement, where there's a lot of mobility of students and families that are coming in and out of the community as a result of work. Student populations would benefit from more focused instruction. And that's particularly true of diverse communities and communities where there's a lot of people that are moving in and out. And being a citizen of Roswell and in my community, I know it seems like every couple of days a home in my community sells, and there's another couple of family members coming in with a new set of kids from somewhere else across the globe. And so we do face a lot of transition and movement even here in Roswell. And then once again, I indicated that the research really supports academically, the K model. And then I want to turn my attention just for a moment to the learning loss. As I indicated earlier, we know based on what the research says and our own internal data that our students are learning in a remote setting. They're just simply not learning at the same rate that they otherwise would have been learning had school been happening face to face, which is one of the reasons our board has been so committed to offering a face-to-face experience to our students. And so we've looked at our data and we found elements of our student population that have suffered or been impacted more than others. And so this slide kind of highlights that. And so the next question really becomes, since we know that, what do we do as a result of that information? And so I'm pleased to say that the board has allowed us to begin planning for the most intensive academic learning loss recovery plan in this district's history, spanning over multiple years. We can't regain all this ground in one fell swoop. It's going to take time. It's going to take patience and commitment. And so we have a 6-pronged strategy. We know that it's going to take extended time, summer school, before and after school across multiple years for some of our students. We know that we can have the greatest impact if we work with small groups of students and a dedicated educator rather than one teacher working with 30 or 40 students. We know that part of that process has to include a robust assessment strategy to make sure that we're measuring where students are. We know that to support this work, we're going to have to equip our teachers with the latest technology and professional learning opportunities possible to get the most out of their precious time and work. And then finally, we know that we cannot be successful unless we engage our parents and broader community. And so our staff has been working under each of those strands to build a process and strategy to unpack those 6 big areas so that over the course of the next couple of years, we're making progress in all those fronts. And so the exciting part is that starts this summer. This summer, we're planning for 30,000 Fulton County school students to engage in some summer learning in Fulton County schools. We've never done anything to that magnitude. And so this is a broad description of our plan. And so we're planning on offering 2 summer sessions for K-5 students, targeting specifically on reading and math, content standards and mastery. So the hours are there, you can see those. And then in middle schools, because the middle school students are a little bit of a different group, we have been planning on a summer camp type of experience for them so that it's enjoyable, it's age appropriate, but also focused on their academic needs. And we only have 1 session for our middle school students, and it's going to go through June 7th through the 24th. And then finally, at the high school level, because we have a number of students that have, kind of disengaged from the learning process, we are offering a doubling of courses to allow students to catch up for courses that they either didn't complete and or failed this past 12 months or so that they can graduate on time moving forward. And we're excited about this work. So we're going to have more employees employed during the summer. We're going to have more students in our schools than we've ever had before, which obviously means we're going to be feeding them. We're going to be running buses. It's going to be an extension of the traditional school year and very much the same way as we traditionally do, but through the summer months. I want to thank y'all so much for allowing me to spend 10 or 15 minutes just kind of real quickly going over the highlights of what's happening in Fulton County schools. I'm glad to answer any questions that you might have, but I also want to make sure that you have my contact information so that you can contact me directly for follow-up. My email address is looney.m@fultonschools.org. Please feel free to reach out to me. That's looney.m@fultonschools.org. Feel free to reach out to me, and I'm glad to spend some time with you talking about any issues or concerns that the mayor or city council members may have. Thank you so much for allowing me to present.
Well, thank you, and I appreciate the time that you're taking with us this evening, but I also appreciate what you all in the school board, our teachers, our entire school system. I know that it's been difficult on our students, our teachers, faculty, but thank you all for all of the hard work, and thank you for trying to keep things as normal as possible. It's important to our children and it's important to our families. Did council have any questions? Great presentation, and thank you again.
Thank you so much for your support, and y'all have a great evening.
And we enjoyed having you both. Great job.
Thank you, Mayor Henry.
The next item on the agenda is Public Safety Department, Council Member Judy.
Thank you, Mayor. Item number 2, approval of a text amendment to Article 13.2, false alarms of the City of Roswell Code of Ordinances by repeal of sections 13.2.1 through 13.2.7. This is the first reading. Ms. Alterio.
Mr. Davidson.
Oh,
Thank you. This is an ordinance to amend Article 13.2, false alarms of the City of Roswell Code of Ordinances by the repeal of sections 13.2.1 through 13.2.7 and substituting a new ordinance therefore. Now therefore the mayor and council do hereby enact the following ordinance. The existing sections of Article 13.2, false alarms of the City of Roswell Code of Ordinances, section 13.2.1 through 13.2.7 are hereby repealed, and a new section 13.2, false alarms of the City of Roswell Code of Ordinances is enacted hereby to read as follows, the text of which is incorporated herein by reference, and if approved, this will be the first reading.
Thank you very much. And Melissa, if you have a go at describing this to us, we'd appreciate it.
Sure, Mayor Henry. So the alarm ordinance was first presented at the Public Safety Committee meeting on March 9th. The purpose is to promote public safety by making alarm users in the City of Roswell directly responsible for preventing false alarms.
Let me say before I take this to council for questions, I just want to let you know that the items on the agenda this evening, there's no one in the queue to speak from the public, so I will skip over that portion. So does council have any questions for staff? Do I have a motion?
Motion to approve item number 2.
Motion to approve by Councilmember Judy. Do I have a second? Second by Councilmember Hall. All those in favor, please raise your hands. And it passes unanimously. Thank you so much. I'll turn this over to our city attorney, Mr. Davidson.
Thank you, Mayor. The first item I have is approval of a settlement of lawsuit. The City of Roswell has sued their insurer. We had the Roswell Alpharetta Public Safety Center, Public Safety Training Center had a roof collapse. We did extensive repairs to the structure, to the roof. It's a truss system roof, so the repairs ended up being over $2.3 million. The insurer has paid out $1.1 million so far. We were in disagreement on the remaining items, so the city authorized me to file suit, and I'm bringing forward this settlement in the amount of $1 million to settle all of our claims. I recommend approval.
Thank you, Mr. Davidson. Does council have any questions? Oh, Councilmember Zapata. I was going to say, this is a quiet group tonight.
Thank you. So my question here is this have to be shared with the City of Alpharetta, or that is our portion?
It's a reimbursement for our costs, so we will be getting the reimbursement.
Additional questions from council? Do I have a motion?
Motion to approve.
Motion was set by Councilmember Judy?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you, Councilmember Judy. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Councilmember Wilsey. All those in favor, please raise your hands. And it passes unanimously. Thank you. Mr. Davidson.
Thank you, Mayor. The only other item I have is a recommendation for closure to discuss personnel litigation in real estate.
Do I have a motion for closure? Motion by Councilmember Tizer. Do I have a second? Second by Councilmember Judy. All those in favor, please raise your hands. And it passes unanimously. We are adjourned.